I became popular in high school on accident. It started out in 8th grade when I didn't really have a lot of friends. I went to a really small school, and so I didn't fit in with any of the groups and people who were in my grade at the time. Nobody who went to school in my middle school was particularly social. I had like one or two friends who were outside of the school I was really close with. But besides that, I didn't really have a friend group or that many individual friends that I was connected to. But that all changed freshman year. Going into high school, I was basically in the worst situation anyone could ask to be in going into high school. I had a couple friends outside of school, and all of them were going to different high schools than me. So I basically didn't know anybody, except for like one kid who I had met at a friend's birthday party. So he is kind of a friend of a friend. We didn't even really know each other. And we had our orientation before the first day of high school, and they grouped us up into these little groups. And so I was in a group with one other boy and two girls. And, whenever you're uncomfortable, you tend to be even more uncomfortable with the opposite gender. So I kind of just talked to the other guy when they grouped us up for this quick activity. And so basically on the first day of school, I knew a total of 2 guys in my class of over 200 people. I walk in the doors and I have my first class, and just by luck, I guess, I have this class with the kid I met at a birthday party, the friend of a friend. And I don't think any of his friends from his old school were in that class, so we sat together and kind of just chatted during the whole class. The class was basically a joke. It was like some kind of class about religion or something. I don't even remember. But we kind of hit it off, and at lunchtime, I hung out with him, and he had a few kids that he knew from his previous school. So we all sat together. And that was the moment where our friend group kind of formed, because all of these kids, we loosely knew each other, but none of us were really friends with each other at the time. But basically by the end of the day, we knew we were going to be a group of friends for the rest of high school, and that has held out through to the middle of junior year, where I am now. So after I had found my place, with my friend group, and I felt comfortable, I started to observe some certain kids in my grade, and I think there were about 3 or 5 of them. None of these kids looked anything alike or had any of the same interests or were really connected in any way other than one important thing. This thing was social skills, and these 5 kids all were extremely social, and they just clicked with everyone and had this kind of aura about them where they were just naturally friendly and open and vulnerable and a little out there. And if you asked me to point at someone who was popular freshman year in the first month, I would have pointed at one of them. Guaranteed. I had always been somewhat into social skills and all that, even though I was never particularly good at them. But, I had watched my fair share of YouTube videos on, charisma and all that crap. And it doesn't really get you anywhere without actually taking action, which is what I realized freshman year. And so I started to copy some of these really slight, subtle things that these 5 individuals would do. Now, when I say I copied them, this was a really long process. Over 3 years, even till today, I'm trying to replicate some of their mannerisms and how they act and the aura about them. But it's worked really well so far, and even just within freshman year, I learned some lifelong social skills by just replicating what these 5 people were doing. The very first thing that I noticed is that they were confident, but I kind of had to break down what it meant into actual actions, not just how it looked like they felt. And so what these 5 individuals would do is they would raise their hand in class to ask or answer questions. They'd say whatever came to mind without hesitating or overthinking. They just do it right when they thought it, whether it was nice or mean, whatever. They weren't afraid to look unintelligent, and they weren't afraid to look smart. They weren't afraid to look anything. They were authentic, but not in the way that you would think the word authentic is used, like how you might call this video authentic, because I'm just telling my story and speaking my mind. But they were authentic to themselves. Each one of them just was themselves, no matter what situation they were in. It was like they were a character. And I copied this, They raised their hand in class. I raised my hand. They made a comment about someone's shoes one day. I'd make a similar comment the next day. And the more I observed these interactions, the more I copied them. And it was like a constant reminder to me every time I saw, oh yeah, that guy, he just walked up to that other guy and asked him about, his fashion, and he likes it and whatever. Or he just, she just asked a question in class that sounds really stupid and everyone laughed, and she just laughed along with them, and like she doesn't care. Like that's just really how it was for these people. They didn't care about other people's opinions and to be honest, I don't think they thought about how they were acting or speaking. I think it just came natural to them, and I can't really fully explain it. But what I can explain is that stuff did not come natural to me. But once I started copying it, it started to become natural. And I got really good at it. In just 6 months into freshman year, I was friends with like half of the class, from my little friend group of 5, who was still some of the best people I met in the grade. And I was blessed to meet those people first, because, there's all kinds of types in a high school. But those were really the best people. And after I started being social, I just met more and more people, talked to more and more people. I built up my own character and my own image of who I was. And I don't think that people realize enough that you want someone to have an image of you, because that means that they're thinking about you. And the more someone thinks about you subconsciously, the more they're comfortable around you and they like you. That's a scientific fact. And so I've always worked on that, but especially when I started consciously just doing those things, speaking out when I had an idea, being genuinely curious or interested, being authentic. If you could take away one word from this video, like if this was really just a short and you scrolled down on it and it was one word that I said, or I guess this would be 2, but I would say be authentic. And it's definitely better that I make this video and I can explain what I mean by be authentic, because now when I say it, y'all understand like what I'm really saying. But just be genuine, be curious. And if you have that moment of doubt or whatever, you really have to fight it. And like, the more you overthink it, the worse it'll get. And what I can tell someone who really gets like stuck in that trap to an extreme is just that you should take a step back from the whole situation and tell yourself that it's okay to overthink something sometimes. You know? Like, it's not always bad to overthink. And so, if you did overthink one particular situation, instead of just being authentic and genuine, it's okay. Just give yourself a pass. And start in small ways. You know, start the biggest gateway for me, or one of the main ones, was the classroom. And it seems so counterintuitive because, like, nothing social happens in a classroom. But, like, that's the point. That's where you can get comfortable. You can start, you know, asking questions to your teacher. You know, they have to answer your questions. And not only do you start to build an image of yourself to your classmates, or, you know, the equivalent, you do it at a job, of course, but you start to build an image and a reputation, and people start to just look at you. And, you know, that's just how it starts. That's just how you build it up. And then from there, like, it may not seem like much, but before you know it, you'll be on to the next step. You know, talking to friends of friends, and then friends of friends of friends, and you'll be talking to strangers. You'll be commenting on someone's outfit without even thinking about it. Literally, life will become a game, or at least social life will become a game to you. And you can just step in and out of the character at any time. You can always just zoom out, look at the bigger picture, and just say, like, dude, I don't care what any of these people think. Like, I'm gonna die someday, bro. Why would I care about what my classmates in my sophomore year, or my freshman year, or 8th grade, or when I'm 21, my coworkers or my friends will think about me? I won't. In 15 minutes, you won't even remember, let alone, you know, a year later. So, but you will remember if you're not authentic and you don't just get out there and, you know, get messy socially. So that's what happened to me. That's how I became extremely popular. It was a really slow process. It felt slow, at least, but actually looking back, it's like, damn, that was like months. So that's my story. See you guys tomorrow.